Some of the short stories I come up with are really great in principle and in concept, but they never make it off the ground. And they're ideas that I think are going to be fun at first until I get started on them, and then they don't really go anywhere, or they're not what I expected, and then I need to put them aside. And this is another example of one of those. The story we're talking about today is To Love Like Hell. This was a short story that I came up with some time ago because it came with a very interesting premise. The idea is, can a demon or devil or some kind of unholy entity crave or achieve some kind of redemption or be redeemed and go to heaven? And from a spiritual perspective, I think the question is a moot point because the Bible makes it clear that devils and demons in the Bible know about salvation, they know about the power of Christ, they know about redemption, but they don't want it. They are actively in rebellion to it. So they don't want it to begin with, despite already knowing about it. This isn't like a situation where a human may not recognize Christ as their Savior or know that Christ has come to save them. They don't know the full story. They don't believe the full story, so therefore they don't accept it. They know, they believe, they just don't want it. So I think it's a moot point from a spiritual perspective, but let's play that game. I decided let's get creative and have some fun. So in this story, it follows a young man who's in college who is leaving a Bible study session one night and gets hit by a truck. But instead of dying and going to heaven, he wakes up in this realm within his own mind and meets a woman there who reveals herself to be a succubus, a sex demon from hell. And she says that she's actually been keeping an eye on him for some time because he seems like a very spiritual, grounded young man and seems familiar to her somehow, but doesn't know why. But she says that she wants his help. She wants his assistance in redeeming herself. He wants to know why. Like, why does she think that he could be of any help? What could he do for her? And she reveals that she wants to live a better life. She wants to turn her whole identity and worldview and behavior around, and she doesn't know how to start, and she wants him to help her, and in exchange for helping her, she will help him uplift his love life because he actually is dealing with a problem of his own. Despite him being a pretty all-around good guy, he has a lot of trouble talking to the opposite sex. It's not that he's scared of women, it's that he feels awkward. He is very socially weird. He is very uncomfortable going out of his way to talk to people. A bit like me in that way. But he actually struggles a great deal in approaching the opposite sex for anything beyond just, casual workplace kind of discussion. So she says that she'll help him do that. He doesn't know if he trusts her, so she makes a deal. If she ever tries to do anything to hurt him or to corrupt him or do anything wrong to him, then she'll immediately leave his body. She'll get out of him. He'll die. He'll go to heaven. She'll go right back to hell. Problem solved. Because right now he's technically dead. And the only thing keeping his body alive is her possession, her dwelling inside of him, basically keeping his body functioning. Like, she's basically the power that's keeping him going. While this is going on, I thought about all these different ideas that could come up, like maybe there's some demon hunters or exorcists in the area who find out about her and try to expel her from him, and he has to try to decide if he wants to help her or not. She actually struggles a little bit understanding why certain things are bad and good, and I wanted it to kind of explore the way we look at promiscuity today in our society. Because let's think about it. A lot of things that are totally okay and mundane today would not have been okay and mundane back in the day. Like, compare the way women dress and behave today versus in, say, the 40s or 50s. The way that we see women behave is different. The way we see men behave is different. The kind of things we sing about in our songs is different. The kind of language we use is different. So while she may use some very raunchy language, he may go, whoa, that's not how you do that. And she goes, what's wrong with that? Everyone talks that way. Well, just because everyone talks that way doesn't mean you should. What? That doesn't make any sense. So it kind of confuses her. But I wanted it to be kind of a fun, kind of almost like a, like buddy cop thing, but not cops, like just a kind of a buddy road trip kind of thing where the two are trying to help each other. And of course she does help him, but sometimes she helps him in ways that he doesn't like. Like, maybe she'll go, okay, girl straight ahead, 12 o'clock, go talk to her. What do I talk about? It's not about what you talk about. It's about getting over your fear. Go talk to her. Like, I wouldn't even know how to start. Like, okay, you know what? Give me control for like 2 minutes. I'll get you started. So she takes control of him, walks over there and says something very like flirtatious, and he goes, "Nope, I'm taking back control. That was wrong. That was wrong." Like, would you let me? Like, so it kind of turns into this dynamic. I thought it'd be very funny. So you're probably wondering, okay, what happened to the story? Couple things happened to it. First of all, I couldn't figure out where to go with it. One of the problems that I face as a writer, and I think a lot of writers face this problem, is we come up with a cool concept for a story, we come up with an idea, but then we don't know how to execute it to its conclusion. And that's why I say that I think it's really important for a writer to at least know or have an idea of how they want their story to end. Have an idea of point A, have an idea of point B, and figure out how you get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the creator of One Piece, despite how long One Piece has run, he says he's already figured out the ending, or at least he claims to have, I don't know. But whatever the case, you want to have an ending kind of in mind. And with this, I didn't know how I wanted it to end. I mean, ideally, I want it to end where, you know, our succubus gets redemption and is allowed to go to heaven, and our main character gets to continue to live somehow. Like, maybe he's given a chance to go back to his mortal life and live a little while longer. So I had that idea, but I didn't know how to execute it. I didn't know whether I wanted to turn this into a cheesy little romance story or turn it into kind of an action thing where, you know, they're actually having to avoid exorcists or angels or other demons. Like, I didn't know kind of the tone I wanted to go with the story. It was just a neat concept. Now, what's funny is I put the idea aside for a long time. I actually came up with this a very, very long time ago. And back then, I had a different name for it. I can't remember it. I can't remember what I called it back then. But I brought it back up because something that has become very popular in modern discourse now is Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. And Has Been Hotel specifically focuses on the idea of Charlie, the princess of hell, wanting to find a way to redeem demons in hell so that they can go to heaven. And I remember watching this and thinking to myself, this is weird. This is a very weird way to approach it, because Charlie, and in fact none of the characters, seem to know how this works, how redemption works. The problem is they don't even try to explore how it works. They don't seem to want to engage in finding out the process. They kind of just throw crap at the wall and hope it sticks. And only one character, that snake dude, what was his name? Serpentious. He's the only one who ever gets redeemed, and we don't even really know what redeemed him. Like, how did he get redeemed? Like, what was the big thing that he did that no one else did? Was it self-sacrifice? Well, like that never happens before? Whatever, I'm getting off topic. Point is, I was very confused by the show, and it reminded me of the story. And I decided to dredge it back up just to kind of look over it. And I remembered it was a very fun idea. I was very enraptured by the idea. I think that it's a neat take. How would someone who has become so lost, how would someone who has become so caught up in their own sin and their own lifestyle and their own worldview, how would they change? Would they want to change? And what steps would they need to take on that path to change? You know, and I think that was a fun concept. Now, do I think I'll ever go forward with it? I don't know. I've got a lot of other projects I want to work on, and honestly, I haven't gotten past the concept phase of this. I don't know how I'd want it to end. I don't know what kind of characters I'd want to be involved in it. I don't have a tone for it. Is it a lighthearted, funny, goofy comedy tone? Is it a more serious, edgy tone where the characters are dealing with a lot of trauma and difficulty? Like, you might think it sounds like a comedy tone to me, Raven. Yeah, but at the same time, I had this whole idea where we actually explore who she was before she was a succubus. Like, was she a human beforehand? Was she a sinner? When was she around? All this stuff. I had ideas, man, but it didn't really go the way that I wanted it to, which is kind of a disappointment. But hey, you know what? That's what story sharing is all about. I share with you my story ideas, whether they were good or bad, and tell you guys what I learned from them. What did you learn from this? I hope you learned something special from this. What do you think of the story? Do you think I ever should come back to it? And if you have any thoughts on it, let me know down in the comment section below. Would love to hear your thoughts. And that's all I got for you. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.